listeners, and welcome to the Footy Mailbag. I was trying to remember which podcast I'm hosting. I'm your host, Clarky, and I come to you this week with news that is quite grave and has deep ramifications for the organisation that is the Footy Mailbag, and I think it's about time, and we're just thinking, coming into the 2026 season next year, that we need some new voices on the Footy Mailbag. So it's with deep regret that I announced that Damo will be stepping down, effective immediately, and we will be forming a committee next week to audition for the roles of new host. Damo, what do you make of this breaking news?
Well, I mean, Simon Goodwin did lose his job recently. Does this have any? Does this have any connection?
Only if you have connected to Simon Goodwin. I didn't, I started that bit and I wasn't quite sure how it was going to go.
I wasn't sure where you were going to go with it. No, I was, you didn't tell me that you were going to start it this way. And at first I was like, why is he starting this podcast like it's a segment on ABC radio? I was all confused, but we've got here now. And yeah.
Listeners, the best part about improv is when we make the joke, we don't know whether it lands or not because we're not you. And then we explain it just to make it as funny as possible. It's the Footy Mailbag. Round 21 is in the 22 is in the books now. 21 is in the books. We're up to round 22. And my God, it was another week filled with massive scores. I can't believe another week that I have scored a 2600 and I have gone up minuscule. I'm doing minuscule numbers in rank. I was beaten by my own wife in our league, Damo, in our classic league, which actually knocked me out of finals. And that has been difficult to live with in my house because, Mr. has a super coach podcast. He can't even, his wife is only, anyway, I'm copping a lot of stick, Damo, from my beloved partner, who is all vibes based, might I say. She scored a 28-33. I'm so proud of her.
It must be nice to have a team that scores.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine possibly having one. How are you, Damo?
I'm all right. But I mean, Clarky, I wanna take the hosting chair for like the next 5 minutes, 2 minutes. I don't know how long this will take because
we share the same chair. It's the same coasting chair.
Because you're a Melbourne fan.
I am a Melbourne fan,
and we already spoke about Simon Goodwin losing his job.
He did.
How do you feel about this as a Melbourne fan? What was your reaction to the news that Simon Goodwin had been sacked?
I was on the train to work, and the messages started flooding in from a lot of different people, going, "Oh my God, this is happening. How do you feel?" And I sort of sat with it a little bit, and I think the best way that I was able to describe it in the end is it was all fun and games a little bit to be like, oh, sack Simon, what is he doing every week? He does the same thing and it's never any different. And we've been having that complaint as supporters for years, right? But there was always a part of me that wanted to turn up the next week and see that he had changed things because the reality of it is, the respect was always there for Simon Goodwin. He won us a premiership in 2021, which a lot of Melbourne supporters, and myself included, didn't think that we would see one in our lifetime. 9 years a head coach, and while that doesn't remove the criticisms levied against him, which were all accurate and, based on what we could see because we're not behind the scenes at the club and based on the performances that we were seeing, felt squandered, but it's still inherently sad because I wanted him to come out and prove us wrong for being naysayers. I wanted to come back every week and watch this club filled with players that I love, which, had brought me the greatest footballing joy. And I wanted to see something different and I wanted to see the dial move forward. And yeah, I probably wasn't expecting it to happen after we beat West Coast by like 13 goals. But yeah, I think my overall reaction has been kind of, I understand the reasons why, and I'm curious to see what the future holds, but I'm also just a little bit sad because for all the jests and all the jokes, I love and appreciate Simon for everything that he has done at Melbourne for 9 years. It's nothing short of amazing, and he'll go down as like a legend of the club,
He's a premiership coach.
He's a premiership coach, and that's, never take that away. Never let them take that from you, Simon. Like, we were harsh on you, but we definitely, I know the supporter base, we loved you, like, deep in our hearts, no matter how much we were annoyed or frustrated, you playing Harry Petty as a forward every week. We did love you, and we wanted you to prove us wrong, and unfortunately it kind of has come to a head with a decision that probably isn't the one that I would have made at this time, but is understandable.
From an outsider looking in, you're obviously a fan, and you know your players a bit better than I do, but from outside looking in, I felt like it was the right decision. Whether it was the right time, I'm not sure, but I think it was the right decision. I just think his game plan hadn't evolved enough from where it was when he won the flag to be able to compete with what teams are doing now. And if you listen to the likes of David King, the guys that are really into tactics, like on big TV, big media, old man media, they basically, like, David King says, you've only got 18 months at the top before teams start to work you out. And it felt like Simon Goodwin's game plan was worked out much quicker than that after 2021. And there was no evolution. Your forward line was still very bits and pieces. Like, you had a great connection in your premiership year, but it wasn't sustainable, and you never found a way to evolve the forward line. The defense was always solid. The midfield should have always been solid, but has had varying pieces come and go in and out of form for various reasons. So I think it was the right time to have fresh eyes look at the club and see what they can do with what's there. But I do wonder what the off-season's going to hold for you guys from a list management point of view as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, it's, Simon Goodwin was almost outdone on multiple occasions because, and this is what I was saying to my partner, who is originally from the UK, but I indoctrinated her to Melbourne as part of the bargaining agreement when we entered into a relationship. So unfortunately, she's really gotten entrenched in that, and we both kind of agreed where the problem is that quite often it would seem like the lack of a plan B made us just look like a really foolish football team, because he would just stick to his guns. And I respect that belief in a system that you've built, and you're like, I know that this system works, right? And you've achieved the ultimate success with it. But, 4 years is a long time to not make significant changes to a game plan, or at least to offer an alternative game plan. Like, if he tried that same game plan, didn't work out, and then he goes, all right, throw all those magnets out, bring me the second board with our plan B on it, right? And it's, Cozzy and Trent Rivers in the middle, and Cool Petty, we're moving you back to be a key defender, we're moving, Disco Turner comes forward, or whoever, right? Like, those, just thinking of people who can sort of fit into alternative positions. And it's not to say that there wasn't off-field stuff as well going, but it's nice to hear that the neutrals are kind of seeing it the same way that we are, where it's like, it was the right call, but at the wrong time. And they're saying people are saying it's allegedly to get ahead of the coach race, because I believe as we speak, Damo, potentially the Carlton board are talking about the future of Michael Voss. So allegedly Melbourne are trying to get ahead of the prospective coaches that are out there, because that's the other thing, right? The stocks are limited.
Yeah, people are talking about Adam Simpson. He said he's comfortable where he is. John Longmire is apparently at the top of the list, but I don't know where he would sit going to a smaller club like Melbourne. Like, he's been at a big club at Sydney all that time and won't have the same resources at Melbourne. So whether he's up for that challenge or not is another thing. Nathan Buckley has said
he was on the radio saying, right?
Yeah, Nathan Buckley has said that he will take the call, but he's pretty comfortable in media at the moment. Yeah, there's some like,
is there, right? There's no one else.
There's some like high-end assistant coaches who have been in the system for a long time. I think the name at the top of the list that people are talking about is Hayden Skipworth, who is supposedly the mastermind behind what Collingwood are doing. So,
can I just say, going from the surname Goodwin to Skipworth, fucking elite. Give him the job right now. Give him a contract. Like, based on name alone, I absolutely love that. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think John Longmire would take, like, these. And this is the thing as well that bothers me about the decision happening 3 weeks out from the end of the season. And it's the same position for Carlton as well, is that you're not even getting really interviews with these coaches. It's, you're just going to make a couple phone calls and go, oh, you're interested. And they go, fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, Horse is probably enjoying retirement a little bit, you know? Adam Simpson is working over at his McDonald's. Nathan Buckley has said that he values his work-life balance with his work in the media, which is perfectly valid, right? Like, absolutely respect to understanding that need, but appreciate his honesty saying that he is intrigued and willing to coach, but he is waiting for the right offer. So I honestly think that we'll end up with some crazy sort of assistant coach, you know, prospective pick, and just go, right, we'll just have to ride this out, which terrifies me because I remember the Neild years, and I remember, you know, the anything pre-Paul Roos, right, where the hope was dead. And it's going to be made even worse by knowing that we've got a great list. So yeah, keep an eye on that, and I think it's going to, you know, I'll be keeping my eye on what's going to happen to Michael Voss, because maybe we just get Vossi. Just do a trade. Maybe Melbourne should have held out. What kind of trade value does Simon Goodwin have compared to Michael Voss?
But in saying all that, I don't think Simon Goodwin is lost to football or coaching. I think he could definitely fit at another club when he's ready to return to clubland as a coach.
I absolutely agree, and I kind of hope that he does. He's one of those people who, a bit like Brodie Grundy when he went to Sydney, and James Jordan when he also went to Sydney, or Toby Bedford to GWS. It's kind of one of those things where, like, I just want to see him do well because I have a lot of respect for him, right? Damo, what caught your eye this week, besides my coach being killed mercilessly by Brad Green on air?
What caught my eye this week was I didn't really care about this weekend's games. So I would like look at I would be watching the games, and the Supercoach element was just completely lost to me by watching these games. And there was a beauty to it, but there was also oh yeah, I have a team that I need to look at some point to see if they didn't catch fire. And no, my team is definitely on fire. It needs a lot of help. It's not going to get help this season. In fact, this season I might just need to send it out on a Viking funeral and then see, and then start again brand new. But yeah, I didn't really care about Supercoach this week, and so what caught my eye was that nothing caught my eye.
The beauty of the world caught your eye, Damo, as you went out and made music and painted portraits and examined the art and beauty that exists in the soul of everything. Meanwhile,
yeah, but also the fixture didn't help the fact that I didn't get to see a lot of football. Like, I think I watched the Adelaide Hawks game, and then I watched the Fremantle Carlton game. But every other game that was on, I just didn't really care about.
This is the biggest issue with this year in football, right? My interest is waning because only 9 teams are relevant, and out of those 9 teams, I only like 3 of them. Like, it's really tough. Like, you know, obviously the race at the moment, judging on the ladder, is to see where the Bulldogs fall into it. People are sort of speculating on who the most likely to fall out are. There's also, I've seen the math floating around about how Collingwood can slip out of the top 8 entirely, but it's not guaranteed that they'll even make top 4. So it's kind of trying to find those little wins, I think. Damo, like, as a Freo man, and you guys are fighting for finals, you're actually fighting for a top 4 position, I would say. Do you feel nervous? Are any of these teams in that back half of the top 8, who do you think are likely to fall out?
So, from what I understand from reading all of the run home articles and ladder predictor articles and all that sort of thing, is Freo only need to win one more game to be safe.
Okay.
I mean, I don't believe that, because there are teams that if they win all their remaining games and Freo don't, and Freo only win one, then Freo's ends up 9th. But
I was going to say, do you guys play the Bulldogs?
We play the Bulldogs in the final game, but we also played Brisbane Lions at home the week before that.
Yeah, I think you guys have one of the tougher runs. Where looking at those runs myself, Damo, something did jump out on the page of me, and that's Geelong and Western Bulldogs kissed on the penis, if you will. The Bulldogs have one of the softest Final Four games, which, like, they're playing Melbourne this week, which is a 200-point win. And I believe they're also playing, they play Richmond one more time? They play a bunch of soft teams. I think Port's in there.
So Geelong just played Port, and then they've got Essendon this week, and then they play Richmond in the final round with Sydney in between those two games. So
yeah, the Bulldogs play Melbourne, the Eagles, and then Freo.
Yeah.
So all relatively.
Hey, I'm cheering for the caretaker coach Spike.
Me too, Damo. Me too. What caught my eye this week, Damo?
Yeah, what did catch your eye? I should ask you that question.
Yeah, hey, look, feel free. What caught my eye this week is a sheer number of 200s popping up at the back end of the season. And this is going to run into one of our topics that we flagged for the week. Tim English scored a 202 this week, and Brodie Grundy scores a 200 because, by God, if we're going to let Jordan Sweet be the only 200 of this season.
Have you noticed that it's all ruckman?
Yeah, right. Weird. I thought the same thing. I was like, go figure. Grundy, I think, just scraped to it with some adjusting, right? I think he finished on 199 and then got, scaled to 200, which I think, even if it was just some champion data, like, give him the 200. Good form. Big stuff, right? Big stuff. Tim English had an absolutely immense game.
Yeah, I mean, Tim English had a great game, but Grundy finished on like 38 disposals or something. Yeah, 39 disposals.
And did he kick a goal? He kicked a goal.
No,
right?
So it was 39 disposals, 8 marks, 32 hitouts, 13 clearances, and a goal assist.
Oof. That's juicy. That's just juicy stuff. Where have these scores been? Why is Tim English all of a sudden very good? Why is Brodie Grundy waited for the back half of the season to absolutely explode? He has just been on fire Supercoach-wise these last, 6 weeks?
He's been, like, probably longer than 6 weeks, to be honest. He might be one of the most expensive players to start next season.
Absolutely, which means that we will obviously
in fact,
advising
his average is currently higher than Max Gawn's. So at the moment he will be the most expensive ruckman to start next year at this stage.
Good. Will you be starting him if he's the most expensive ruckman?
Oh, to be honest, starting teams next year, I've kind of, obviously we've been kind of talking about it on this podcast, but I would have to see how the rest of my team pans out. The ruck line seemed like a line this year where you could have traded into a lot of the players that are doing well now.
I think we started off this year getting into a little retrospective moment. I think that people who, my team would still be Max Gawn and Tristan Cherry if Tristan Cherry didn't get suspended, right? So I think there's still an argument that set and forget was kind of the way to go. Like, the people who traded into Grundy were probably jumping off the TDKs, the Lloyd Meeks, those more perspective buys that we had around this year, because we spent a lot of time talking about, like, this could be the year that TDK represents really good value. This is the year that, like, Lloyd Meek finished pretty hot at the end of last year and gave everyone the reason to pick him up. Darcy Cameron has kind of just been plodding along. He's currently the third ruckman on total points, but he's only averaging 111, right? Which is perfectly cromulent. And then after that, it's, Tim English, Rowan Marshall, Tristan Sherry, right? Tristan Sherry is still the 6th highest scoring ruckman, and he's not played for 3 weeks. That's crazy. He
hasn't played for 3 weeks, and he is still a top 30 for total points as well.
Crazy. Absolutely insane. Damo, this week we also saw the round winner hit a new record Supercoach total. 31-44.
We've had so many 3,000... Well, we've had so many massive Supercoach scores in this back end of the season. It almost feels like people have clocked Supercoach.
It's done. We've done it. Everyone pack it up and go home.
Yeah.
The team of the week, the Tippetron, I'll give them the give them.
Yeah, we can say their name this week.
Yeah, we can say their name this week. Overall rank is their 60th, but they were very fortunate and very clever in picking up Lockie Ash's 139 on top of big scores from Jordan Clark with a 122, obviously Bonds 151, Harry Sheasel 131, Ed Richards. Like, this is just a solid team that they scored a 31-44 with Zach Butters 45 sitting in their midline.
Look at their flex. Look at their rucks. Grundy, Dawn, and Tim English. So they got both 200 scores with Grundy captained.
It's excellent as well looking at the bench and knowing that even in the top scores, bench hygiene does not exist because they own Archie Wicks, Lewis Cambrial, and Rowan Steele, who did not play. No mid cover.
He scored this massive score with Zach Butters 45 being his 23rd score that rolled out of his team.
Amazing. Just amazing work. Good work, Tipstron. Massive, massive pump-ups to you, my guy. Damo, you speak a lot on this show in particular because this is the only show that I do with you, but in general, you're very anti-Ross Lyon.
Yes.
And you also endorse not starting Ross Lyon coached players.
Yes.
Jack Steele was named as the starting sub this week. Please walk me through how this made you feel.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't own him. I know people that own Jack Steele. And as soon as this was announced that he was going to be the starting sub through the AFL website, people were just kind of tweeting it as if it was nothing. And I was just kind of like, hang on, this is a club captain being named as sub. Some people have him in their midfields at the moment. And there are people who have lost league matchups because of Ross Lyon and have been knocked out of their Supercoach finals. And thus, Ross Lyon has killed some Supercoach seasons because of Jack Steele being named sub. This is why you don't start Ross Lyon coached players. You don't start rookies. You don't start premiums unless their name is Nazaya Wanganeen-Malera.
Hugh Boxall is doing quite well these last couple of days. These last couple of weeks. Just
I don't care. He is coached by Ross Lyon.
That's fair. We have some other grave news, Damo, besides Ross Lyon destroying the relevance of all of his players except for Nazaya. Will Day and Lockie Neal ruled out for the rest of the season. Yeah. Will Day, not as much of a problem because he's just come back from injury, so I don't think a lot of people would have jumped on straight away. They would have wanted to see how he rolls out, and unfortunately is out with bone stress, which I thought was just the thing that I get when I wake up and be 30. But apparently it's quite serious if you're an athlete, I hear. If you're a high-performance athlete, bone stress is not good.
I don't know. Well, what you have is just stress.
Yeah, I got physical and emotional. That's fine. I'm back and I got enough for everybody. I got enough for them all. Lockie Neal also ruled out after a quad injury, has now ended his season, which is just the cherry on top of what has been owning Lockie Neal this year. God, if you've got Lockie Neal, I hope you have some cash to move him along to one of the better Brisbane mids.
We have some questions later to answer.
Oh, good. Listen, stay tuned, folks.
That's why you're here.
That is why you're here for the questions. Damo, you've been keeping up on the trade links, right? This is the start of the year where we start prospecting a little bit ourselves, right? Seeing who goes where. So I'm going to ask you, because I'm not keeping abreast of it, if players who have been linked to other clubs, who do you hope or don't hope that they do or don't go to a club or a trade that doesn't happen? Let me phrase it again in a better way. What trade do you think shouldn't happen to keep their Supercoach relevancy? And which trades do you think benefit some players' Supercoach relevancy?
Okay, well, on the weekend, Will Brodie was linked to Port Adelaide. He will be a rookie-priced player next year, so if he does get out of Freo to get more opportunities elsewhere, then he's probably someone to really look at. I do wonder if James Worpel going to Geelong might increase his relevancy a little bit. I don't love Zach Butters moving out of Port Adelaide, though. I hope he sticks around at Port Adelaide. I love Zach Butters as a Supercoach player in his current role. I don't think he would move to play any other role. But in saying that, we have seen Dan Houston go from Port Adelaide to Collingwood and play the same role and not have the same output as he had at Port Adelaide. So,
what clubs is Butters currently linked to?
At the moment,
which clubs? Sorry,
he is linked to.
Bring up the graphic, Damo.
He is linked to Western Bulldogs, Collingwood, and Geelong.
Okay, none of those. Yeah, none of those are really good.
And Hawthorn.
Maybe Hawthorn. I suppose if Warple leaves, then Zach Butters can kind of come in and potentially have a really big role in that midfield alongside Newcomb and Day.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he'd be better off at Port Adelaide, but
yeah,
I'm prepared to be
a club and not having a ruckman again.
I'm prepared to be proven wrong on that though.
Who else have we got, Damon?
I mean, there's not a lot of ones that I don't really think the move benefits them, but there are some that scare me a little bit. Like, if Sam Draper goes to Brisbane, it scares me that he might become Supercoach relevant because I feel like he'd be in every starting team.
I wonder, because that deal, I've heard that in my circles. I wonder about that deal if it is... Would he be sharing the role, you think, with Darcy Fort? Because I feel like Darcy Fort has more than earned his stripes, right? You know, Sam Draper is obviously known more for being a ruckman.
Yeah.
And Oscar McInerney's kind of on his way out.
Well,
it feels like, at least, injury-wise.
It feels like Brisbane have... It's a done deal that Brisbane are going to get Oscar Allen and Sam Draper. At least that's what we're being told. So, and Darcy Fort is going to be 33... and then 34.
Darcy Fort 33.
And then he's going to be 34 in the middle of next season. And so,
forget. I didn't realize he was that old. All right, I take it all back.
So I think they're trying to transition to a team that they can sustain for the next 3 or 4 years to get together. So yeah, I think Sam Draper's going to come in and be the ruckman. So what scares me, not the move doesn't scare me. The fact that I think that if he does move, he will be in every Supercoach team is what scares me.
Yeah, agreed. Anyone else that we need to be having on our radars?
Just wherever Harley Reid ends up. If he stays at West Coast, I don't think he's going to be relevant, but I can see him being very relevant if he turns up at another club.
I would like to quickly point out while we're talking about West Coast, I have nothing to say about Harley Reid because I spent a lot of time thinking about Harley Reid. But hey, the reports of the death of Tim Kelly greatly exaggerated. He's had a couple of half-decent performances the few weeks gone, hasn't he? Damo's shaking his head.
Maybe in Supercoach terms, yes.
Supercoach terms, yeah. I mean,
but as a player, he is a shadow. He is a shell of his former self.
Yeah, but that's because he plays at West Coast, so I'm only talking in a Supercoach sense.
Yeah, I mean, West Coast is a shell of its former self at the moment, to be honest.
Playing against Adelaide this week at Optus Stadium, 2 scores running of a 121 and a 100. So, I don't know, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. Hey, good news, listeners. We haven't talked a lot about AFLW, and that's because, look, we're not qualified. I love AFLW. I'm an absolutely massive supporter of the AFLW, but I'm not ashamed to admit that I don't have the depth of knowledge that is required to really give it any justice to speak to, other than if you are able to and you have any kind of time, go and support your club's AFLW team, because holy shit, it's a great competition and it's launching soon, next week, Damo.
Yeah, first game is next week on Friday, I believe. I don't have this fixture in front of me, and I probably should have that if I'm going to talk about it.
No, it's fun, but we do have, so that all that being said, we have a special episode this week. I say we, Damo is going to sit down with Liam from Free Kick AFLW Fantasy Podcast. We love Liam. I think we've had him on before to talk about AFLW.
Yes.
The guys over at Free Kick AFLW Fantasy are absolutely wonderful crew, so definitely go and check out their stuff.
Yeah, I had Liam last season to talk about AFLW Fantasy when I believe the platform's only been out for a couple of years, and this is its second year, but had him last year when we talked about starting options, all that sort of thing. He's coming back. I didn't scare him away. He's coming back to talk about this season. We're going to talk about the injury list, relevant injuries. We're going to talk about team structure, because this year there's a bit of difficulty finding rookies in certain positions. So he's going to help us put together a starting side that can actually contend early on and be sustainable for the season.
One of my favorite things about doing AFLW fantasy is just picking my favorite players, because like I said, I don't have the depth of knowledge that I really want to have. So I just go into the format as I'm literally doing as we talk, because I realized that I was in the middle of doing my team earlier this week, and I'm like, yeah, cool. You know who I'm going to need? I'm going to need Montana Ham. I'm going to need Zippy Fish. I'm going to need any of the Melbourne players that I love. Tyler Hanks, Kate Hoare. Just get them all in. Get them all in.
I'm excited to have Kiara Bowers back. Missed all of last season because she had a baby. She's not coming back from any injury. It's just because she was having a baby. She was being a mum. And now she's back and she's killing all the time trials. She's racking up the footy in the practice matches. She is back. Yeah, so episode is coming out for Saturday morning.
There you go, Saturday morning.
Yeah. So it should be in your feeds on Saturday morning. Yeah. If you have any AFLW questions that you want to send in for Liam to answer, I'm sure he's happy to answer a few.
Yeah. Damo, it is time for the Spark.
All right. Well, Clarky, you were all about Carl Amon, and you're still all about Carl Amon. You love Carl Amon.
Pro Amon, yeah.
He has a teammate who
has 22 of them on the field.
Yes. This particular teammate has a 5-round average of 107.6. And since round 13 has gone 91, 136, 83, 122, 91, 120, 108, 97. His name is Jarman Impey, 518k. And only in 0.6% of teams.
I agree. Do it. I have no notes on this. He's someone who has been catching my eye recently as well. His name's coming up quite a lot when you listen to the Hawthorn games.
His form has spiked ever since he had a kid. Dad power.
Yeah, okay. Right. Is that the whole mentality behind this one?
Dad strength, dad power.
Very good. All right, you heard it here first. Damo is recommending that you bring in Jarman Impey this week. It's time to get to the listener questions, Damo, so get on them boots as we head out back to Rancho Malo. Please, listeners, submit your questions before 8 p.m. Melbourne time on a Wednesday to be included in the episode, and you can send us voice memos. The link to submit your voice memo is right next to the question form on our website, thefootymailbag.net. As we always remind you, and this is a threat, if you don't send us questions, we're just not going to record. we're going to skip that week. We'll move ahead. I mean, also live your life, live your best life. We love you, even if you don't listen to us and our existence ceases in between the silences that you hear our voice.
Well, actually, we don't want to give too much away yet until we hash out the details, but it might not be the end of our season anymore.
Ominous. Ominous. Nebulous Prime writes to us and says, "Hey lads, want to keep the pod going, so I thought I'd write in for some help. With Neil out, who are your top targets? 53k in the bank, 3 trades left, mostly playing for leagues in a knockout final this week."
How much is Lockie Neal? He is 536k.
So you got about 580k to play with.
There are some good options out there for that amount of money.
Who is your number one option, Damo?
Jordan Dawson.
I love that. That was actually who I was going to suggest as well. He's just...
Hugh McCluggage.
Yes, Mr. Suitcase.
Finn Callahan is also a good option.
Yeah. I like George Hewitt. Plays for Carlton, so it's kind of a mark against him, but, you know.
I have a theory that this late in the season you need to go for teams that are going in for finals. Because if it's a team that has no chance, players will get rested, they will have an injury, they will do their calf, apparently, but then never come back.
Alternatively, George Hewitt could be looking to get out. He's got to up his trade value. But that's fair enough. I think that's a perfectly cromulent option. I think Jack Sinclair has had a few good rounds, but does violate Damo's no Ross Lyon rule.
Yep, can't do it.
I think I like Jordan Dawson probably the most, playing in an Adelaide team that's coming up against West Coast this week.
Jordan Dawson is going to be the one that I that I endorse the most as a Lachie Neale replacement. And they come up against a couple of teams in the back half of the season, in the back few games outside of this West Coast game, who give up points to midfielders like Collingwood. Collingwood don't shut down midfields. And then in the last game, they play North Melbourne. So, yeah, Jordan Dawson is my pick of the bunch.
Yep. Easy. I also like Harry Sheezel at 525. Once again, violates your rule, Damo, but has been playing well because I think North are an exception.
It's not a rule. It's a superstition.
Right. North have something to prove, which is that they are not as stinky as they seem. But also Tristan Cherry is back this week, so that's got to be net positive for them, right? Things can't be all bad forever. We got Prime Tim of the Nebulous Tims.
Wait.
Yep.
I didn't say this before we started. Last week, we had Nebulous Steve.
Or Steve Prime.
And we wondered if I had written the name down wrong. No. Steve submitted his name as Nebulous Steve or Steve Prime. So that's why I said Nebulous Steve and we got all confused. So no, Steve, you are Steve.
No, he's Nebulous.
No, he is Steve because Nebulous implies you're a Tim.
No, you can have a Nebulous. Nebulous is a prefix to the subject. The Nebulous Tims are all Tims. Nebulous Steves are all Steves. But they're not. But Steves aren't Tims.
But yeah, I put the name down correct. I want the record to show I put the name down correct.
Very good. Well, look, maybe we can ask Prime Tim of the Nebulous Tims, who has clearly, by the length of that title, been an elected official of the Nebulous Tims. Hey, Prime Tim, are Tims Steves? Are Steves Tims? Let us know. With the news of Neil's injury, I need some help choosing a replacement. I have 3 trades and want to use one this week. I can trade Neil out to anyone under 600k. I was hoping you could rate the following options: Cherry, Dawson, McCluggage, Luke Jackson.
Hey, we already talked about 2 of those names, and I said Dawson. I did look at Luke Jackson. He is 581k, but I think I still like Jordan Dawson more.
Yeah, he's going for a cash league, and his opponent has Neil and 0 trades. He's currently ranked about 9k
Jordan
overall.
Jordan Dawson. But if you want to go via the rule that only Ruckman can score 200, you need to choose Cherry or Luke Jackson. But I still think Jordan Dawson is the best option.
Yeah, I think if I had to rate those 4 options, I'd probably go Dawson, Cherry, McCluggage, Jackson.
Yeah, because Jackson comes up against some pretty tough opponents.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see. Jackson is just kind of, he's another one of those players who's really talented, but because he's splitting that role with Sean Darcy, he's an impact player. He goes from like a guy who's like, he's probably a solid 90 to 100 and then plus whatever impact he has on that particular game.
Yep.
McCluggage for me is just one of those things where I'm like, okay, cool. Who gets the attention now that Lachie Neale's dead? Is it McCluggage? Is it Dunkley? Is it Ashcroft? Whichever one.
Yeah. McCluggage is harder to tag because of his running power though, but it is going to be interesting to see who people go to. Yeah. And we'll see this week who that is.
Yeah. Cherry is obviously Tristan Cherry, so he's coming back to a solid role. He's a great ruckman. He had 3 weeks off through suspension, not injury, which means that he makes the most sense. And Dawson just chugging along nicely and has really found his crown in that Adelaide midfield that is pushing for a top 2 finish. Like, they want to cement that in the next week or 2. They're not going to be letting their foot off the gas, and if they do, they'd be damn fools. Prime Team also says, I'm going to miss you guys in the off-season. Will you do a Supercoach Finals podcast? Damon and I were discussing this. I think we should.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I alluded to earlier. Supercoach Finals, yeah, we probably will continue through Supercoach Finals. So we'll have an episode where we will talk about team and structure and how that... We'll see how the format turns out first, because we obviously haven't seen...
I don't even know what it is.
How the field is going to look, but then we'll have a look at the best options and who to look at. Because something that stands out to me is people will pick players off their finals form and then will be surprised when it doesn't hold up in the season. Because there's finals players and then there's in-season players. And
Damo's doing the Lionel Hutz nodding.
They are different.
There's finals players and then there's regular players. So, yeah, we'll do Supercoach finals. I think that'll be fun. I've never done it before, so it's going to be completely new for me.
Oh, yeah. Because, okay. So Supercoach finals, really fun. Clarky, you're going to have a lot of fun.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and I'll let you know how much fun I'm having on a week-to-week basis. We'll rate it at the start of every episode. How much fun did Clarky have that week? This week was a 4. Nah, okay, it was a 6 because that was a big win against West Coast. That was nice. Senior Prime asks us, hi again, fellas. Since your great advice last week of Caleb Daniel to Jez worked out so well, I thought I would get your take on who I should bring in with my last trade for Neil. Thanks for a great year of Supercoach podcast. Now, Senor, please. Senor, por favor. Caleb Daniel scoring, was it 120? 140? It's something completely ridiculous. Let me double check this. Caleb Daniel scored 142. I don't think we should be held liable to predict that because have you seen this helmet wearing motherfucker? Have you seen this dude?
Actually, I said I didn't watch much football this week. I did watch some of that North Melbourne game because I was waiting for the Freo game to start. And when I was told when the game ended, so I was told by Azza, who's a North Melbourne fan, and he was complaining about everything North Melbourne was doing. But then casually informs me that Caleb Daniel was the highest rated player on the ground for North Melbourne. And my reaction was, how?
It's absolute insanity. He had, what was his disposal efficiency? Let's have a look. Because if I look down, he had 90% disposal efficiency for 36 disposals or so? 30-something disposals. Hang on, I'm trying to find both. 32 disposals at 90% efficiency.
I just don't understand how Caleb Daniel outscored Jez Cameron, who kicked 6 goals.
Not enough impact. Everyone expected him to do it. Do better, Jez. Do better. So sorry, senor, but we can't be held liable for that one. We've talked a little bit about who you should bring in for your trade with Neil without your specific team. We can't get any more specific than that. Damo's
Jordan Dawson.
We'll reiterate it once again for the people in the back. We like Jordan Dawson.
If you want someone around Neil's price, then Harry Sheasel.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I can see that. Andy Brayshaw is also 540k, which isn't too much of a stretch. On the trend down, though, since Damo cursed him.
Yes.
Damo cursed him and then elevated Sarong.
Or Errol Goulden.
I like that. But
has West Coast in the final round.
Are Sydney going to take their foot off the pedal, do you think? Maybe because they don't want to risk injuring any of their players because they will be playing finals next year.
You know when those articles come out and people talk about people being a mathematical chance to get to the finals?
Yeah.
If someone completely shits the bed in these last 3 weeks, let's say Western Bulldogs lose against Melbourne because of the caretaker coach Spike. Yeah. They lose against Freo, and then they for some reason coming over to WA and playing West Coast, and they cripple themselves on the Optus Stadium deck, and they lose that one too. And Sydney win all 3 of their last few games. Sydney is still a mathematical chance to get to the finals. They won't. But they are still a mathematical chance. And so they will be trying to win every single game because they're a chance.
It's this is a very specific, I don't know if are you a Dragon Ball Z fan, Damo?
No, I am not.
Okay, so this might be for some of our specific listeners there, but when it's like, you think about, like, you got to visualize how your team's going to win this week, right? And I pictured the only way Melbourne winning was if all of the Western Bulldogs players get that Goku illness that kept him from fighting the androids where he has to take the medicine, but then he was in bed for like a whole arc of the show. And I think that's the only way Melbourne might win this week. Sam Darcy is just in bed sick for a week. uh, my team sucks. Matt, thank you. Thank you so much for your question, Senor. Matt asks us, I asked a question last week on if I should upgrade F6 with one or both of my final two trades. The advice was to hold, which is what I was thinking, and I held and went up 983 spots to 4,041st in overall rankings. Thanks for the advice, guys. Hey, stop the clock, Matt. We appreciate it. This week, with the news that Lachie Neale is out for the home and away season, I think I have to use one trade. I have 144k in the bank. Who should I trade in? His current mids are Bont, Nick Dacos, Anderson, Brayshaw, Neal, Zerrett, Will Ashcroft, and McCarthy.
Well, there's a name missing from that group. Jordan Dawson.
There is a name missing from that Jordan Dawson. How much is Matt Rowell? Out of 679. Okay, so out of reach. Out of reach? Is that out of reach? What's the math on that?
He is out of reach.
Neil was 530 plus 150.
He's out of reach.
144. Yeah. Okay.
He's out of reach. Just.
Sorry.
If you can swing someone into your midfield from defense and get Nazaya Wanganeen-Malera, I don't mind that as a replacement either.
Yeah, I think that
he is the only Ross Lyon coach player that I will consider.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at what's going down. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone really other than Jordan Dawson, whose run I love, apart from Nas has the role, and they're just going to let him develop more in that role, I think.
Jordan Dawson, though.
Jordan Dawson. This is going to end out poorly because we've been selling Jordan Dawson way too much this episode. So that's only going to end poorly. Matt has one other question for us, Damo. He said, what is your favorite sports-related movie? Heard your thoughts on music a few weeks back, so keen to hear your take on movies. Do you want to start, Damo? I do love a sports movie. I think there is something fantastic about the sports media genre because it also has like these weird subgenres that are all based in cliche, right? Like I watch a lot of anime. Sports animes are almost always power fantasies for a lot of it, where it's, you've got this one person who has one special power, and that's like the thing that they're good at. You've got the feel-good, happy time movies. You've got the documentary, the biography, and the things that are sport adjacent. Damon, do you have a favorite sports movie or sports-related movie?
The only one that really comes to mind for me is Moneyball. And
that's a good one, though. It's one of the best sports movies.
But there's another sports movie that I've just Googled sports movies and I'm looking at a list because
I made a list of my top sports movies.
I couldn't really think of any off the top of my head. If you can't hear, I have a head cold, and so like my brain is not braining at the moment. Remember the Titans is a really, really good movie. It's a sports. It is a sports movie, but there is another message within it that is just so relevant now than like ever before.
Diversity is the key. I've made a list of my some of my top sports movies, but this isn't the final list because there's definitely a movie on here that I like, but I couldn't remember the name of it, even though I could have easily Googled it. And I am including car racing, however you want to play it, however you want to say that. Vehicular sports are involved in this. So we've got Rush, which is the Formula One movie about Niki Lauda and the American guy. The drivers in there back and forth fight during the Formula One season. Ford versus Ferrari. Absolutely fantastic movie about the development of the Ford GT and Ford's rivalry to build a supercar that would beat Ferrari based on a grudge. Moneyball is on there. We've already talked about that. Everybody knows Moneyball. It's essentially Supercoach the movie. That's all it is. The Replacements, starring Keanu Reeves. This is a movie about an NFL team where the players all go on strike and they are, forced to get replacements. They're just regular kind of zany characters and people. It's a real like feel good by the numbers sports movie. Coach Carter, up on that list. I did it's basically a top 10, this one. Coach Carter is one of my personal favorites. I love that movie. growing up. I played basketball growing up, and still love playing basketball when my ankle doesn't explode. Just a fantastic movie, and once again, it has like a very valuable underlying lesson, and it was based on a true story. Space Jam. Space Jam's got to be in there.
Space Jam. I forgot about Space Jam. But
yeah,
while we're on the topic of Space Jam, obviously Space Jam counts, but does that also mean that Dodgeball counts?
Dodgeball does count. I would say Dodgeball counts.
Dodgeball is another one of my favorites. Does the Benchwarmers count? I like that.
Getting further away, but yes.
But I'm interrupting your list because I've just thought of a movie that I watched recently that I actually don't mind. It's called Invincible. It's got Mark Wahlberg in it.
That's the one where he plays for the Philadelphia Eagles.
He plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, it's the non-fictional story of Vince Papale, who is a all-pro wide receiver, I believe, for the Philly Eagles. Yeah, he was mostly a special teams player, but he
was just a regular Joe who tried out, and the whole story is that he's a regular Joe who got to play for the Eagles, and it's honestly another one like The Replacements. It's kind of like a weird feel-good sports movie. I've only got 4 more movies left, and then we can wrap this up, Damo. Hustle, Adam Sandler, another basketball movie, fantastic movie, 2022. One of the more recent Adam Sandler movies that I just really enjoyed because it felt like there was some heart and resolve in that movie, where he is a basketball coach who assists an up and coming player to make it from their background of poverty, I guess. Not full blown poverty, but sort of helping a struggling player. Remember the Titans, we've already spoken about. Movie that highlights the necessity of diversity and inclusivity within sports and how powerful that can be. Fighting with My Family. Fighting with My Family is a movie that is about the wrestler Paige, and coming and entering the WWE. It's biographical, but not a documentary. Very good movie. A lot of fun if you're into wrestling as well, which I'm going to count sports entertainment. And my final movie, Basketball. Trey Parker, Matt Stone, fictional sport. Hilarious movie. 10 out of 10.
Another one that has just come across my mind, The Sandlot.
The Sandlot, great one. That's a good one. That's the one with all the kids, right?
Yeah.
There's if you build it, they will come. Is that Field of Dreams? Is that the one?
I couldn't tell you. I to be honest, I'm so picky when it comes to watching movies that movies is not a good topic for me. TV shows, oh yeah. Music, I could talk for hours. Video games, I could talk for even more hours. Movies, you can't sit me down long enough to watch a movie anymore. I'm sorry.
Damo doesn't have that kind of. He's got that millennial attention span, guys. You're a millennial. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. I do have more sports movies that didn't make that list, but these were the ones that first came to mind. I find sports movies to just be really good comfort movies because they're almost always uplifting. There's also stuff like Hoop Dreams, which if you haven't seen, Damo, documentary from, I believe, the 90s about some players. Once again, another basketball related movie, but some players attempting to make it to the NBA. And I believe it's considered one of the better documentaries of all time. Don't quote me on that. That might not be true, but it's very good. I recommend that. Yeah, it's a really wide thing. Hey, Matt, what's your favorite sports movie? Right back in. Tell us what your favorite sports movie is. Listeners, you also tell us, what are your favorite sports movies and why do they give you all the quality feels? I watch them when I want to feel something comfy. I want to feel inspired. I want to feel uplifted, and almost every good sports movie does that. Damon's got no more notes, so that's the time, listeners, to move on to our captains and vice captains. Damo, who is your vice captain for this week?
My vice captain for this week is Max Holmes against Essendon on Friday night.
Damo, this might shock you, but my vice captain for this week is also Max Holmes against Essendon on the Friday night. Hey, have you heard that Channel 7 are going to be showing the round 24 is Essendon Carlton game? They've opted out of showing it, which is very funny about where both of those clubs are at.
And And the responses online to that news is also a little bit hilarious because everyone's like, yeah, same. Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
I'm going to spend that time with my family.
I mean, I get why they have put them on that time slot because they've got the Wednesday game that makes like in the next week. By the way, there are going to be guys like with beers in their hand playing that game for Essendon because they just want that game to be over so they can start their off season.
Damo.
I guarantee
they have one more game after that. They still have to play Gold Coast.
I just said that.
Yeah.
I just said that.
It's crazy.
They're going to be on the Gold Coast on that Wednesday night with beers in their hands. Some of them will be going straight from the game to Bali.
Sorry, I think you cut out where you transitioned from the round 24 to round 25. You're calling it round 25?
I don't know what we're calling it. It's rescheduled from opening round, but yeah, Essendon might call the league after that Carlton game and be like, you know what? Can we just say that Gold Coast won?
Oh no, it is included in round 24. There we go. Apologies, Damo. I misheard you on that one. That's my fault. Damo, who's your captain for this week?
Bontempelli.
Marcus? Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect cromulent sense to me. Melbourne are a rabble, and they've just sacked their coach, so who knows what Troy Chaplin's going to do.
What do they call him in the cash converters ad? Muscles Bontempelli?
G'day, Muscles. I think I will probably be rolling into a Marcus Bontempelli. Alternatively, I am considering going a little bit spicy with a Lockie Whitfield. I think against North at Manuka, Whitfield 126 in a difficult game last week. They'll be looking to bounce back, and they'll probably very rightfully put the Giants back in a box. North back in a box.
Freo haven't been able to shut down midfields very well lately, so Zach Butters might be a good captaincy option as well. I assume he'll want to bounce back after being tagged out of the Geelong game as well.
Yeah, I also don't hate Noah Anderson against Carlton, who also might not have a coach. Alternatively, Jordan Dawson against West Coast.
Jordan Dawson against West Coast.
Riley Thilthorpe against West Coast. Who's their key defender, Damo? Did we learn anything from last week?
I was told Harry Edwards, but he might be out anyway.
Who the frick is Harry Edwards? That's a made-up name.
It sounds like a tax write-off.
It does sound like a tax write-off. And speaking of tax write-offs, it's time to end this tax write-off that is the footy mailbag. If you haven't given us a rating on your listening platform of choice, please do so. It helps us out just that little bit extra, but no more so than word of mouth. If you have people who want to hear two guys ramble for an hour at a time and tell you how much we love you, then we're the show for them. And you tell them that. We're here to be nothing but validating. You can also find us at the Footy Mailbag on pretty much every social media there is. Damo is at DamoSC on Twitter. And Damo, if they add an underscore to that, what will they find?
My Instagram.
Dang, Skippy. And Damo will eventually one day post something on their Instagram that's going to be so good it's going to blow your freaking head off. I'm at QuantumJC on Twitter, but you can also check out my other podcast, The Falcon, which is at Falcon Footy Pod. This week we did a top 50 footy adjacent songs. So similar, it's our hottest 100, but it's only 50 because the show already went for 2 hours, including that count. So it was a long one. But go check it out. I'm not going to tell you what the number one is, but go have a listen. Tell me if we got it right. TheFootyMailbag.net is where you can find our podcast feed, merch, written content, traffic lights, but they're no longer happening, and links to our socials. More importantly, you can also find the question form and the link to drop us a voice memo if you so choose. Thanks for listening. We love you, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.